You're listening to People Think About It. Delve into the world of relationships, business, and politics with hosts Lamar Clark, Dorshell Clark, and Dominique Hagler on People Think About It, where thought-provoking discussions abound.
Hey. Welcome back to People Think About It. Our discussion today is going to be about something that's trending on Instagram, Reesa Tessa, and dealing with a pathological liar. And we're going to kind of talk today on how do you go about vetting a person, that you met online or someone that you might have even met through someone. How do you get to that point of filling them out? How long do you stay around? How long do you sit back and keep trying to find out information? So our co-host today, Dominique, she's really been in tune to this Reesa Tessa. So we're going to let her speak on it, and then, we're going to just get into it. So welcome, Dominique.
Hey, y'all. All right, so if you haven't heard about the trending 50-part series of Reesa Tessa and Who the F Did I Marry, it is currently trending all over TikTok. Everybody is talking about it. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. It is everywhere, y'all. So, without further ado, I'm just going to jump into it and, kind of give y'all some background on the situation. So, Reesa Tessa is a young lady. She's originally from Jersey. She lives in Georgia, I believe, currently still. She is now divorced from her pathological husband. We're going to call him John because I'm not sure what his name is, but we're going to go with John. And so, listening to the story, I'm going in very non-judgmental, right? Because I'm looking at it through a whole bunch of lenses, right? Not just from a psychological standpoint, for one thing, right? Because it takes a hell of a person to pull off what he pulled off. And then on the flip side of that, what is her psyche doing? Because she saw the red flags and just bypassed all of them, right? So what does it say? Not only about your psyche, but what about your self confidence
and your gut feeling
and your gut feeling, your instinct? You cannot, and I tell people this all the time. You really have to pay attention to your intuition because it's never gonna lie to you. What you feel is what it is, and you just gotta let it be what it's gonna be. So, my first thing with the situation is when you are dating. Well, I know we've talked about dating sites in the past, but we're going to revisit the topic of dating sites because dating sites, as you know, are the thing now, right? You go on there, Tinder, Tinder and
it's just a bunch of mine. Black people meet.
Yeah, all this, whatever.
And all
Hookup.com, Tammy, whatever you into, it's out there, right? Then you got the pages. You got eHarmony and all of them, and Farmers.com and Christian Mingle and all of that. You got all these dating sites because, as we know, even though the world had already shifted in the way in the way in which we meet people, usually you'll say, "Oh, well, my homeboy got a friend. Your homegirl got a friend from my homeboy." That was the thing to do. Or everybody was at an event and they all hanging out and everybody's genuinely getting to know everybody to determine, hey, I want to go talk to Keisha or I want to talk to Tommy. Times have changed, and then we got to think about COVID, right? People had to really sit with themselves and be alone, and so I think that also.
So really, did this happen around COVID time?
It did, and that is the point that I'm about to bring up. Well, everybody's sitting at home, everybody's locked in, you can't go outside. What are you gonna do, right? You go and you get on these dating sites, and you got Hinge, and you got Twitter, and Tinder, and all of these other places, and you are genuinely trying to either bypass time or find some love. You're trying to find love. You are looking for somebody to, kick it in quarantine with at this point because we in, okay? So Reesa basically states how, she met her ex-husband during this time, right before we went on lockdown. Georgia went on lockdown, and she was saying, even on their first, and she said they had matched on 2 sites. So now they're both looking for love. So, and now she's like, well, we matched on 2 sites, and I just knew that was God telling me, right? That was God saying this was my man. Okay. And so, she said on her way to the first date, her tire blows out. And for me, I'm like, oh, anything like that happens, that just means I'm not supposed to do this. I need to really feel that this is not something that I need to do. And so, you know, she goes on and she says how she sees all the red flags. But the part that really took the cake for me out of, you know, all of the parts that I've seen so far, and y'all, I'm going to let y'all know I'm only on 14 out of 50. Don't judge me, okay? Judge your mama. But anyway, you know, out of all the parts that I've seen and all the things that he was doing and how magnificent he was in what he was doing, because he was amazing.
Calculated.
Oh, very. Oh, to the... I mean, you have to be crazy. You know, you really do have to be, but he was smart in how he moved, and it's going to probably sound crazy, but I appreciated how calculated he was, because I mean, when I tell you he had it going on with these lies, and they was going. But what really took the cake for me is when I heard her say that she was desperate and she took full accountability for everything that she had experienced in the situation, because she was so gung-ho in finding love and being married and having a family and buying a house and things like that, that she just didn't pay attention. You know, she didn't pay attention to the red flags. And even though she may have seen them, she was like, oh, well, maybe. And she constantly went back and forth with herself about well, maybe it's not. Well, he's showing me, you know, trying to really psych herself out that he is who he say that he is. And so, for me, looking at it from another lens, you know, you have to look at, like, are you really willing to go that far, knowing and seeing?
So, in her being desperate, led on to some of this pathological lying that she was willing to embrace.
Right.
Because, as you stated, she seen some of the red flags and totally ignored it.
Right.
But she was so desperate for love, she was like, well, I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe it's the truth, maybe it's not.
Right.
And from that perspective, you know, like you talk when you're vetting somebody, you kind of see red signs, and then when you see that first red sign, the second, and surely the third one, you should start questioning things.
Right.
And most people, like you say, if they're in a desperate mode, they see it, but they act like they don't see it, like it's going to get better.
Right.
And I guess in her story, she thought it was going to get better.
Right. And, you know, and I think that's a lot of people today when it comes to finding relationships, because the way things are, you get on social media and everybody's having these extravagant weddings and everybody's taking maternity pictures, and you want that, even though it may not come from a jealousy, you know, the jealousy space, but the craving of I want the baby, and I want to be pretty, and I want the marriage, and I want the wedding, and I want the husband or the wife or whatever the case. A lot of people are seeking that. And, you know, I could understand to her point as I knew this was my time, right? I just felt like this was my time, and I just felt like we matched on two sites, and he was doing everything that he was doing. Me, after I listened to it, I was like, there's a lot of love bombing. He was also a narcissist. There was a lot of gaslighting. And you are also weak as well. Your desperation led you into being weak-minded, not having confidence that in yourself, or believing in yourself that this is not right.
Yeah, because I think that when you talk about somebody that's a pathological liar, at some point in time, it's like your instinct said, this joker is lying. Like, we were in a gas station one night, and we met a guy, and I could almost tell you, I was telling, you know, my wife, this guy's a pathological liar. That, you know, he's setting up in a gas station playing probably $100, $200 worth of lottery tickets, but yet he's telling us he's worth $18 million. And then he goes, well, I see him with this 49er neck thing on. I said, man, I know you probably said and lost money. He was like, oh, no, the woman put in the wrong bet. I won $5 million. So you just said you was 18, but 5 and 18, 23 all day long.
Right.
Then he goes into, I'm Michael Jordan's cousin. I used to be his private chef. So you can see the lies one after another. And most people that are pathological liars, which I was reading online, they quick thinkers. They just, or they make up stuff in their mind that really don't exist, but they convince you that it exists. And I guess that's what he's doing to this young lady.
Right, because I mean, and when I tell y'all The man was paying the bills, the household bills. The bills was paid. So in her defense, I can understand how she felt. Oh, I am financially free. I got this man. He coming in. He fixing my tire. Because when the tire blew out on the first red flag, he met her at the gas station, changed the tire. He was taking her out. He was like, what can I do for you? And I know any woman is looking for a man that's going to do those, that's checking off them boxes. He's going to take care of the home. He wants to know how you're doing. He is, he's a working man. All of these, he dressed is nice because she also disclosed that as well. And it's like, I'm sure he checked off all her boxes, but she also had all them questions too. So
do you think, because, we often talk about this on the show about how people are so materialistic, do you think that people get caught up in a smoke screen, especially when people are providing things financially or providing material things? Do you think that's a lot of gaslighting as well, to where people, they know it, but they, like, I'm going to excuse it. I'm just not going to look at it. I'm just going to let it ride.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, because, you have, now this man is providing you with financial freedom, right?
Right.
And you see it's getting paid, so it's, in your mind, she probably was very back and forth, which she stated, no, this can't be true. No, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just overthinking, just causing all of this chaos in her own brain when you already see what's going on.
Okay.
So, so at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes down to it, how much can you vet a person? Like, I had to, when I went on my Instagram today, I was like, if y'all haven't seen it, how do you really learn somebody? Like, how much time, how many questions do you ask in order to get to know somebody? Because look at Dexter and Joe. Dexter was killing folks. He had a whole family at home. Joe crazy, he killing folks too. So my thing is, you really, how do you go and how do you vet, right? How do you go? How many questions do you ask before you can say, I know this person?
Well, I think that there are certain questions that has to satisfy you. Mm-hmm. It's not so much whether it satisfies them, it has to satisfy you. So you may, during that period of dating or trying to get to know this person, you may have 20 questions that's on your list, and you may present them at different times. And you may ask these questions, and whatever kind of response or answer you get may give you the answer you want, may not. So I think that when you get to that vetting people, that you have to satisfy your emotional and mental. I think because people today are good. Like I always say, people in today's world, they'll play the game for a long time, a long time. But I also say that when these things happen to you, and then all of a sudden this light bulb kicks on, you was on the light switch the whole time, but you ignored to turn it on. Mm-hmm. And I think that in this young lady's situation, because she states it was a lot of red flags, there was a lot of things that didn't seem real or right, and you just didn't hit the switch. And then when you decided to hit the switch, the room brightened up. Now you caught up. Right. You done married this man. You then start finding out that he's a pathological liar. You start finding out things that he's saying and doing are not what they are. Mm-hmm. So I think that you have to satisfy you. Mm-hmm. And in the midst of satisfying you, no matter who you meet, because like you say, meeting somebody online or meeting somebody that somebody introduced you to, what are your likes? What are your wants? What are your desires? So I think that's one way you have to do it. You have to turn on your light switch. It's not about their light switch, because their light switch can have a dim on. I can make it dim. I can make it bright.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just listening to the story, I feel like vetting is very important. I feel like taking your time. And when you are, if you do decide to do the whole dating app or you meet somebody, really take your time.
Right.
Really take your time with that person as much as you possibly can. Right. Take your time, because now you run into a situation like this, and I feel like at no time should you ever act on anything in spite of desperation, right? Because I feel like in that, you'll always burn. You'll always burn.
And also, most people have a deal breaker. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, what is your deal breaker? Mm-hmm. Like, I can speak for me. I have nothing against women that have children, but I know where I'm at in life. That's a deal breaker for me. I meet you, and some women, I'm going to keep my children away until I feel them out, and then you later on down the road tell me you got kids is 8, 9, and 10. That's not going to work for me. That's my deal breaker. And it's not that I have anything against children. I just know where I'm at in life is certain things I want to do. I want to be impulsive, and I don't want to go through that stage. We got to find a setter or something happened at home. I got to cut the date short and run from. You got to have deal. You got to know your deal breaker,
right, and your boundaries.
So, and you talk about that a lot. When you talk about boundaries and deal breakers, that you have to sit back and say, okay, this person is telling me this person is telling me that, and it doesn't fit into the scheme of what I think is real or rational. And it's sometimes it sounds too good to be true. And I know when you question yourself that it sounds too good to be true, you got to get on that light switch. And you got to be able to get ready to click it on, because it sounds too good. It sounds too good. Not to say that it's not real,
right?
But
because the other shoe don't always got to drop,
right?
It could be your time, but you do got to pay attention. I do truly feel like you really have to pay attention. And I know all my friends, they laugh at me. My mama, even her too. Oh, you just get away. You don't get nobody no time. Let me tell you something. As soon as I see them red flags, I'm heading out. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to put me through what Reesa Tessa went through. You ain't going to put me through that. I'm out. I'm leaving. And I feel like, yes, we're all flawed, right? And sometimes, I guess maybe those red flags can be considered as flaws too. But I feel like some things are not flaws. These are real issues. And
who you are.
This is who you are. These are real things that are, inside of you. This is a part of your makeup. So, for me, it's like, it was a lot of red flags. She lost the baby, by the way.
And sometimes what you have to do, I think in part of trying to find out who a person is, sometimes you got to take that person around family and friends, because family and friends can pick up on certain things, and they can say, hey, you know what, that doesn't sound right, or that's this away or that away. So sometimes you can't just use your judgment. You have to take them around other people, see the vibe, see how they interact with other people and everything. Because to me, it's just like I heard T.D. Jakes say this one time.
Oh
no! He said this: if a person is a habitual liar or a compulsive liar or a pathological liar, if you take them in a room with somebody else that's a liar or pathological liar, habitual liar, they will gravitate to each other. So it's just like you may take them around family. And Leroy, you like that joker lie all the time. Leroy, that joker make up some lie.
Right.
But you take this person in that room, and who do he connect to? Leroy. So him and Leroy are gonna be trying to see who can outlie who. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you pay attention to that because they gravitate to each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like if you have a good spirit, you tend to gravitate to people that have good spirits or friendly and stuff like that. So I think that when you get, and part of, to me, discovering who a person is that you get with a person and they don't want you to be around other people, or they don't want you to be, they try to disconnect you from others.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention that there's a reason why they're trying to disconnect you from others.
Because they don't want them people to look in.
Right. And then they want that trust to be fully in you.
Right,
in
the
them.
hero syndrome.
Right, right. So you got to understand that and look at it from that perspective too.
Yeah.
That, hey, you know what? I'm feeling this guy. I like this guy. But let me take him around family. Let me take him around my mom. Let me take him around my dad.
Right.
Let me take him around my cousin. My cousin, my best friend. Let me take him around my cousin.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we all know, not to stereotype, but women tend to have a tendency to pick up on things quicker than guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you take them around your girlfriends, and one girlfriend like, girl, he paying them bills, you stay with him. I don't care what he doing.
Right.
Then the next girlfriend say, I don't give a darn, he paying bills, he lying. You know what I mean? And if he lying, he gonna keep lying.
Right.
So you get that balance. So now you start weighing out things, and now you start thinking. So if you start thinking, some of your questions will get answered. Like that, like I said, that list. Now some of the things start getting answered on that list. So.
Right, that's true. I agree, and that's one of the points that she was saying too. So she wound up getting pregnant. I think a few months after they got together, and she had a miscarriage, and she was saying that she didn't know at this time, but he had reached out to her mom and her aunt or somebody and was like, just leave her alone this week. Don't say nothing to her. Don't call her. Just let her rest. And she was like, that ain't gonna fly with my mother. You're not gonna be able to call her and tell her, oh, don't call her. My daughter just lost a child. She just went through a traumatic situation, and you telling me not to reach out to her? That's weird.
Mm-hmm. And she actually went for that. I mean, dealing with this guy.
Well, she didn't know.
She didn't know he
had reached out. I don't remember what she said in regards to the mother. I don't think that part came back up again.
So my question is, she didn't know. So how did she had to know something to be able to tell that part in her story?
Well, she eventually found out, but she was going down the timeline. Like, she's in her story, she's going down the timeline, and she states that she did not know he had did that at that time. So I don't think I got to the part back where she, like, how she found out about him texting her mom and her family about not reaching out to her during that time. But I think, again, you really have to know yourself, right? And you really have to be okay with being by yourself. And I know that's a lot of people's fear of being single, dying alone. And I get that. I wholeheartedly understand that. But when you are searching and desperate, even for money, right? You say, oh my God, I ain't got no money. You just start thinking about all the things you could do just so you can get it. You are not allowing the universe to just send it to you because you're going, and it's not coming to you because you're desperate. And then you got to understand, it's just as much as God is listening, so is the devil. So you have to be very mindful of, what you're doing, what you're asking for, how you're going about it, and always asking for discernment. And I feel like, the devil was an angel too.
Oh yeah, no question.
So he can read the scriptures too.
I feel the same way. You know what? You got people that ask for certain things, and I always say that the devil can give you too, because it got to look like a mystery or disguise. Exactly. It's called deception. Right, exactly. So if I can deceive you, and I can get you to start doing things because of deception, you know what I mean? It looked like it. You want to believe it looked like God did it because you asked for it.
Right.
But we all know God gives you not what you need, not what you want. You know what I mean? So you may want a new car, but that's not what you need. You know what I mean? Exactly. You might got, like I always say, people say, well, show me you can take care of what you have.
Yes.
And then I'll supply needs, because if you can't sit back and show me that you can take care of, it's just like even this situation. You showing me that you can't even take care of yourself. You're dealing with somebody that's a pathological liar, and you see signs, and you don't even want to deal with that, So I'm showing you signs. It's just like you said earlier in this conversation. Your gut is telling you something about this ain't right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So what? He paying the bills,
right?
But something ain't right. You know what I mean? So what? He doing this. I'm impregnated. Something is not right here,
right?
And you feel it. Right. You feel it. There's things around you where you see it. Mm-hmm. And like I say, when you're around other people see it, and they try to give you fair warning about it, So, I think that when you're talking about vetting a person, when you talk about trying to figure out, what this person is about, I think you got to go down your checklist. And if you don't have a checklist, and on my checklist is going to be take them around family and friends. How's it that you get in a relationship with somebody and nobody ever sees this person?
Right.
We just watched something on Tubi movie, and it was the same thing. This guy kind of find out he dating the mama, dating the sister, he dating everybody in the family. You know what I mean? And nobody knew about it, and they all started to run into each other, and it was really crazy because nobody wanted to know the truth, because when they asked the mama, who you dating? She was like, it's a secret, I'm keeping it as a secret. Well, she pops up at the dude's house one day, and guess what? The sister's there. Sister want to know, what are you doing here? And then the niece pops up. What are you doing here?
He dating all of them.
He dating all of them. And everybody want to know, what are you doing here? Well, the one sister was a prostitute, you know what I mean? No. So that's why she there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was just a lot that went on in that thing. But it's just like nobody's talking to nobody, I wonder if she had family, like sisters and brothers.
She did have family. I think from one of the episodes that I was watching, she did mention how she did take him around her family, and she said that, you know, she didn't notice it until like after a while, but he would always get around them and brag about his money and how he played football and all of this stuff. He played arena football, and you know how he had all his money and what he was doing for her, and that's what he would do anytime, you know, they would be around her family. And you know, I'm sure everybody was probably like, what is this about?
I would have whipped up my phone and said, what's your name? I'm going to Google you right now.
Okay.
I mean, it's too easy to Google people now. You know, somebody tell you, okay, this is my name. Okay, well, I'll pull it up. You played in what? What team you played for?
Right.
You can find out.
Elementary school.
It's so easy to find out all that. Oh, you play for the Steelers. Oh, what year you played for the Steelers? Right. You know, and I can't find nothing, because one thing I do know, you know, especially when you talk about sports, I wouldn't care if you got drafted and got cut.
It's on it.
It's on here that you had a shot. So.
Right.
You know, man, it might take me a little while to verify whether you rich or poor or in between.
Right.
But when you start talking about, oh, you know what, President Obama is like a good friend of mine. Well, I'm gonna start Googling.
Right.
We're gonna dig good. We're gonna keep digging and digging until we find out. Because where were you at with President Obama?
Right.
Where did you go at?
How you get here?
You know? It's just like I was saying, like the guy we met at the gas station saying he worth $18 million. I got 180 homes down in Atlanta. Oh, I won $5 million at the Super Bowl. Oh, I'm Michael Jordan's cousin. I said, yeah. I said, well, let me ask you this. I said, you ever met Charles Oakley? He was like, I think I may have. You wasn't Mike, because guess what? Mike and Charles Oakley are like this. Mm-hmm. So if you was his private chef, at some point in time, you met Charles Oakley, because he was always around Mike. You know what I mean? So that's what gave me a red flag. And how many people that's worth that kind of money? You in a gas station that's like. Right. I mean, it ain't the grandest place in the world, and you're just going to tell a person, oh, I'm worth $18 million.
Right.
What?
Right.
You know, that fits into what this guy. That sounds like some pathological liar.
Right.
You know, and then you taking and showing people on your phone, see, I traded today. I made $10 million today. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Who does that in today's world?
Right. Exactly.
You know? And those are the kind of questions I think that you have to sit back and ask people. Mm-hmm. You know? I think that you got part of the vetting is just what we just said. Picking up your phone, because this is a baby computer.
Yeah.
Go home and Google. You know, if you know people that's in law enforcement, you get them to check stuff out. I mean, I just think you gotta be smart about what you do. You know what I mean? And I know I've had women friends say, as soon as I meet a guy, I go home and I do a background check.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So what, it cost me $25, but I want to know who this joker is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Run it.
And they run it. I mean, it's so much information out here now that you can sit back and kind of really find out who a person is just by getting on that internet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I know one day I Googled myself. It told me, it shared every place I ever lived at. Mm-hmm. You know? He lived at this address. He lived at this address. What address you say you lived at? It's so easy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, can people, because scamming is a big thing, can people get scammed these days and all that? Yeah, people good at what they do.
Yes, they are.
And you know what's so frightening? Because now they have all this AI getting ready to come out.
Yeah. That's
the frightening part. So people that's got that technology skill, and when they get that AI, they can make things look really real.
Yeah, it's dangerous, and you know that is the thing that you have to watch out for in dating too. Now, AI is eating it up. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to be mindful of how you doing things, because I mean, anybody can be you at this point. Mm-hmm. You know, your voice. You know, you pick up your phone and you hear that little boop, and then or the water drop or whatever it do, and then you don't hear nothing. That's recording your voice. You know, it's so many things, and you know. I feel like the world has always been a dangerous place. I just feel like it's getting real dangerous now. Right. And you really got to pay attention to what you're doing. Because
even the people with AI, they scared of AI.
Yeah.
So if I'm a person that has no knowledge of AI, can you imagine if somebody that's real savvy with AI, what they can do? Mm-hmm. And in doing that, they could, like if they say I used to play for this team or this, they could actually put themselves in a uniform standing on the sideline.
Sure can.
And you would never know it.
You would never know.
Well, I don't know why my name ain't showing up there. I am on the sideline.
Right.
And then, because you're not technology savvy, it look real to you. Say, all right, I'm going to go.
You're not, and she was saying that. She was like, I don't know nothing about no arena football. And I'm like, right. Me, but I've had that experience. Oh, I played for this team. Well, let me see. I had to call my mother, my uncle, my cousin. I'm like, yeah. Y'all know him? They like, we ain't never seen him. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
And that's what I'm saying. Somebody know you might have some male friend that's into all kinds of sports. And you be like, have you ever heard of so and so? I ain't never heard of that joker. And then he gonna start asking you sports stuff.
Right.
And no matter how much of a pathological lie is, if you start asking certain things and he can't answer it, that's a red flag.
Right.
Red flag. Like, okay, what year you played for the Steelers? No, you him and Han. That should be like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What year you graduated high school?
Yeah, you can tell me what year you graduated high school. You can tell me how you even got to the pros. You know.
Right.
But if you can't tell me that, then you have to step back and say, hey, let me start investigating this joker. Right.
So Dominique, how can we listen to her story? Like, is it on TikTok or just?
It is. I believe it's only on TikTok as of right now. It may be on YouTube, but I know I've watched most of it on TikTok. So it is Reesa Tessa, and that's ReesaTessa. Reesa Tessa. And she is on TikTok, and it is a 50-part series. It is on a playlist, so you don't have to keep scrolling. It'll scroll by itself. So enjoy.
So we have to get back to, like I say, suggesting that take the person around your family, take them around your friends, do some investigating yourself, Google, do a background check if you have to. If you got people that's in law enforcement, ask them, can they do? You know what? You can get somebody tag number and it runs so much information on it. So I think that in today's world, when we talking about getting to know somebody or vetting a person, I think that you just can't do it by yourself anymore. You have to, get other people involved.
Right.
So even questions, even things that you might miss, somebody else might pick up on.
Right.
Things that you might not see. You might walk into a room because realistically, the world is a small place. You might walk into a room of people that know this person. Now you're going to really find out some truth about how long they've been doing this or whatever, So, just check it out, Reesa Tessa on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, continuously connect with us at peoplethinkaboutit.com. We can go on People Think About It on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Facebook. So we ask you to subscribe to our channel, get information. If you got a subject you want to talk about, or if you want to come on the show and just have a conversation with us, you're welcome to do that. Go to our peoplethinkaboutit.com, fill out the guest form, and someone will be in touch with you. So we like to say we want you guys to keep listening to People Think About It. We appreciate your time, and let's get it in. People Think About It.
Listening to People Think About It. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends so that you never miss an episode. A new episode drops every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thank you for listening.